What would you do if you were arrested for DUI in Charleston, South Carolina? Hi, I'm Greg McCollum. I'm a criminal defense lawyer and founder of the Complete Legal Defense Team. Let me tell you a story about a woman. I'll call her Donna. Donna is somebody that I knew. I didn't know her well, but she was friends with some other friends of mine. And a person I knew referred her to us and said, Donna needs help. Give Donna a call. She got a DUI. And what had happened to her is that she was driving home late at night. Something happened. I think she had a one-car accident. When that happens, somebody calls 911, somebody reports it. That's normal. This is what people do. So if you call 911 because you need medical help or you just need some assistance, it also goes to the police, but specifically usually the highway patrol. And so they show up, and then immediately, if there's a car that's had an accident, they're just going to look at it as an investigation. And if it's at night or certainly late at night or after midnight, their starting point is going to be that that's a DUI. And so what do? The first thing they do, and this is what they did with Donna, is they want to establish that she's the driver of the car. So someone in her situation is just standing there talking to the police, answering questions, because that's what we do. We've been taught to respect authority and law enforcement, so they start asking us questions. We don't know, she doesn't know if they're doing an accident investigation or what. What they're doing is establishing that she was the driver, because that is a crucial element of driving under the influence. If they came upon a scene and there was a car and it was empty and they don't know who drove it, then it's difficult, if not impossible, to prove a DUI case against somebody later in court. The fact that the car is registered to you, that doesn't establish that you were the driver. Now, there are other ways to prove that. If there were other witnesses who saw Donna wreck, saw Donna get out of the car, even spoke to Donna, and she said that she was the driver and she was okay, they could prove that without her statement or without her acknowledging that she was the driver. This rarely happens, though, because for whatever reason, usually Highway Patrol, certainly South Carolina Highway Patrol, they really don't look at investigations that way. They focus more on the person. So what happens now? Donna's tired. It's late at night. She's driving home. She's in an accident. Now she's being questioned. So at that point, the trooper wants her to do field sobriety tests. And they say something like, come over here. I want to check you out and make sure you're okay. That's really not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're going to give you something called the horizontal gaze nystagmus test, which is you follow a pin or with the lights on you to determine whether or not your eyes twitch as you look from side to side. This is a very questionable test, but they use it as the official test. The other thing they do is they say, come over here, we want you to do a one-leg stand. The one-leg stand is really a balance test, and it's something where they ask you to stand with your feet together, with your hands by your side, and when you're ready, lift 1 foot off the ground about 6 to 8 inches, point your toe and look down at your toe and count from 1 to whatever number. Sometimes it's 15. I've seen it as high as 30. And they don't even tell you how long to count. They say count until I tell you to stop. If you've ever snow skied or water skied or done anything in sports, don't look down. So the test is really failure-based because you should be looking straight ahead if you're doing that. Secondly, probably no one's even done that. That's not something, unless you're a gymnast or you work for the Highway Patrol, that you would ever go around even doing that. So it's a very difficult test. As soon as you tilt over a little bit, then it looks like you can't stand up and you're drunk. And then when you do that, sometimes they'll ask you, to do another test. Ironically, if you nail it and you do it perfectly, many times what the trooper will ask you to do is they'll say, are you satisfied with that? Now, you just did it perfectly, but you don't know you're satisfied with it. So many times people do it again, then they fall off. So what they're doing is gathering evidence. Now, the other standardized field sobriety test is the walk on a line, as we call it, or walk heel to toe. In that situation, the trooper demonstrates it for you. He's done it 1,000 times. He's got these big flat police shoes, that are like standing on a paddle or something. And he's not nervous. He's not going to jail. He's just doing his job. So he says, I want you to walk this line, put your feet heel to toe. In other words, don't walk on the line like you would normally walk. Put one foot in front of the other so that the toe is touching your heel, and don't hold your arms out like somebody who's doing a tight wire walk, because if you've ever seen anything like that, if you've been to the circus, if you've seen anything, that's the first thing they do is they hold their arms out for balance. They tell you to keep them at your side, count 9 steps, count by 1,000, and then when you get to the end, turn around, pivot, and come back. So a lot of people fall off the line. They've never done this before. They're nervous. There are blue lights flashing. People they know may be driving by. There's a lot going through somebody's mind in that situation. So all these tests are really failure-based tests, and what is happening is you're not being checked out to see if you're okay to drive. They're really building a case against you. So in this situation, Donna gets arrested. Her car is being towed. She's taken to the jail. In South Carolina, with the Highway Patrol, they put you in the front seat, so you're handcuffed behind your back. You're sitting in the front seat. They put an in-car camera on you and film you for the 35, 40-minute drive to the jail. And there again, they could say, well, that's for your own protection or it's for the protection of the trooper. But what they're doing is making a little video of how you act, whether you talk, whether you seem intoxicated, whether you fall asleep on the way, whether you just stare ahead. And ultimately, whatever you do is wrong. They're going to say, well, I could tell she was intoxicated because she went to sleep on the ride. Or I could tell she was intoxicated because she was nervous and talked a lot. So it's kind of in a no-win situation. Once Donna got to the jail, she's offered a breath test. In that situation, there's a 20-minute waiting period, which is the scientific basis that they use, which says that you cannot put anything in your mouth because they won't, if there's alcohol trapped in your mouth or there's a foreign substance in your mouth, they want to give the alcohol time to evaporate. At that time, you're offered to blow in the machine. In this situation, Tammy didn't blow in the machine. Most people don't. You're not required to give evidence against yourself, so she doesn't blow. And when you don't blow, what that does is that triggers a driver's license suspension, okay? So this happens to her. I think at that point, she's in jail. She's going to get out later. So this is what happened to her. So it's traumatic. The next morning, she has to go to a bond hearing. We're not representing her. And then she has to locate her car and get her phone and maybe charge her phone and do all that stuff to extricate herself from that situation. Because when she gets out of jail in the morning, she doesn't have a driver's license. She's got no car, no driver's license. And that's the situation that people are in after a DUI arrest. So she talked to a mutual friend and she called me. I talked to her. Now, in this situation, a couple of things have to happen. She can get a temporary driver's license, and we can get that for her in the matter of really just a couple of days now. We file for a hearing. There's an administrative fee of $200, a filing fee that we pay for that. At that time, you had to mail a document in, and this is a document that they give you when you're arrested. So when you get out of jail, you read it, but it's very confusing. And so we would recommend everybody do that immediately. So in that situation, and this was a case, I'd call this a DUI gone bad, because a lot of bad things happened to Donna because, she didn't hire us because we were a little bit more expensive. And so she hired somebody else. I'm not sure who the lawyer was, but they were either a little bit or substantially less expensive than us. So she felt like she couldn't afford us. So then what happens is we FedEx that document in, and we pay for the FedEx, and we pay for the filing fee of $200 because we want it to get to the DMV, to the administrative hearing office as quickly as possible, because once they get it and once that hearing is set up, then Donna's able to go back to the DMV and get what's called a temporary license. It's called a temporary alcohol license. And then you can drive again while you're waiting for your breath test hearing. Now, this has nothing to do with a DUI. And this is very confusing for people because people think, okay, if I get convicted of DUI, I'll lose my license. And maybe I have to go to a thing called ADSAP, which is alcohol classes. So in her situation, we were not able to do that for her. Now, I've learned, and it surprises me, that there are DUI lawyers that don't do that for you. They tell you to mail in the form yourself. So as Donna was doing that, it looked like to me, as best I can tell, she missed the deadline. Now you have, in that situation, a time period where you have to send it in. And that's the first thing we ask people. The time period is long. It's 30 days. But they have to have it on their desk within that 30-day period. And we've had situations where we've represented people and they come in on day 29 or 30 and we're FedExing it. Someone in my office is staying late to FedEx it to get it to them. But if we get it there on the 31st day, they won't honor it. That's just tough. So in this situation, what happened is Donna, who was fumbling around with it herself, who didn't do it right. The mail doesn't go as quick as FedEx, because we do it overnight. And so one thing led to another. And when I spoke to her, how's it going? Well, here's what happened. She did not request her driver's license hearing in time. That meant that her suspension went into effect. That meant that she had to enroll in what's called ADSAP, pay $500 to $1,000 and take 6 weeks worth of classes to learn about alcohol use. And then eventually additionally, she had to, I think, get what's called an interlock ignition device, which is something that's a requirement if you're convicted of DUI in certain circumstances, or you don't handle your license revocation hearing the right way, so that you have to pay out of your own pocket, go to a service, and they put a breath machine in your car, which is called an ignition interlock device, which means that every time you crank your car, you have to blow in it as an alcohol test for the car to crank, and you're required to have that. I think it's for 6 months. So the case is a disaster. And all of those negative things happened to Donna, and she hasn't even gone to court yet for the DUI. So in South Carolina, all lawyers request jury trials. That puts the case on a long docket. It causes the case not to come up for 6 to 9 months at the earliest. Many cases are worked out pre-trial. It's just because of the volume. Because a week of court in DUI court, they can try maybe 5 cases that week. They're really not that ambitious. They really don't try that many. And so a lot of negotiation happens. Now, sadly, when this was going on, I really didn't know this was happening to Donna, but that's where she ended up. And it was all because our fees were a little bit too high. She probably is going to spend much more than if she's simply hired us. Our DUI fees are pretty reasonable. They're close. They're in line with a lot of other lawyers. They're certainly in line with all the good lawyers. So that's just a cautionary tale of what can happen or what cannot happen depending on how the case is handled. I see her from time to time. At this point, when I'm talking to you right now, as far as I know, her case is still pending. I hope that works out for her. If she gets convicted of DUI, then the things I described would happen again, where she would have to go back to the same ADSAP class she's already completed. Does that make sense? No, but those are the consequences. So if you've been arrested and charged with DUI, you want help, contact us at the Complete Legal Defense Team. This is something we do every day. This is something that we do week after week. It's something we've done. I've done for decades, and my team's been together for over 10 years now. So if you need help, reach out to us. We're the Complete Legal Defense Team. Don't be shy about contacting us. We're happy to talk to you. If you need to talk to us multiple times before you make a decision of whether or not to get us to help you, it's not one call. We talk to you over and over, listen to you, look at your documents, and help you make the best decision for you. I hope this is helpful. Remember, if you need help, go to the Complete Legal Defense Team, CompleteLegalDefenseTeam.com.